Hello, this is Reverend Don Lewis coming to you from the beautiful metaverse. And this is Reverend Don's Vlog. And today our question comes to us from DragoKwan. And DragoKwan has been one of the most prolific watchers of the Vlog and has asked many questions over the years. And it's very nice to be answering another question from DragoKwan. And our question today has to do with the idea of twin flames. And the idea of twin flames is both very ancient and very popular. It comes from Plato and also his student Aristotle. But it was also heavily revitalized by the Theosophy Society in the 19th and early 20th century and espoused by Edgar Cayce, I believe. So it has a lot of currency for people. It has quite a background. And what do I think of the idea of twin flames? Well, the idea of twin flames is that originally the soul was whole, but became divided into two parts, usually described as one male and one female, and their business is to find each other, at which point they will become whole. And this seems to appeal to a lot of people. I personally think it's nonsense. I not only think it's nonsense, I think it's very toxic. I think it encourages toxic relationships and toxic ideas about romance. So I completely repudiate the concept of twin flames. I do believe the soul has many incarnations, so if you want to describe it as being split, that's not a bad thing, but it's not this concept. It's not just split in two parts. The soul has many incarnations. The soul has many different expressions, even simultaneously, which we've done other vlogs about. But they are not they're not in this kind of understanding, the idea that some other person can complete you simply by being there. That is the idea behind twin flames, that if you find your twin flame, everything will be perfect and you will be whole, and this is nonsense. I am a great believer in the sentiment expressed in the Wiccan Rede that if what you seek you find not within yourself, you shall never find it. Each division of the soul, every incarnation, is both part of a greater whole and whole in itself. And to find happiness, to find wholeness, to find completion, one must work on oneself. That's why we have shadow work. That's why we have a lot of things in metaphysics. They're there to help us to perfect our soul. It's not just a matter of magically meeting someone else. Now, if you were to ask me about the concept of soulmates, I have a different answer for that depending on how you're using the word, and people do use the word differently. Some people use the term soulmate to mean twin flame, in which case I still think it's nonsense. But if you're using the term soulmate to mean a soul with whom you have a particularly strong relationship or a strong affinity, and that there can be many such souls, that I completely agree with. You will meet others in life who you seem to have known before, you have an instant attraction to, you have strong similarity with, who might be described as soulmates. But there's not just one of them, nor are they expected to make you whole. In fact, a relationship with someone who can be called a soulmate is often quite complex and often rather difficult because of everything that's already happened. And also simply because this is the nature of incarnation. Incarnation is not meant to be a walk in the park. Incarnation is meant to be a learning experience. You know, there's the famous saying that when we end this life, well, the speaker wants to slide into the end of life the way that a baseball player slides into home base at the last moment, beat up and dirty and bedraggled because they've lived so much. And that really is what incarnation is meant to do. We're not here to just sit around and be happy. We're here to learn, we're here to do, we're here to work on many different things. Soulmates can be of a number of different varieties. They can be other expressions of your own soul. They can be souls you've had many incarnations with. But there are souls that you will find a special rapport with, of different sorts for different souls. That I am perfectly in line with. If you read my books, you'll see I talk a lot about that. If you watch the old vlogs, you'll see that we talk a lot about that. Not always using that term, it's not my favorite term, but under that understanding, I think soulmate is a perfectly good way to look at certain relationships. But twin flame is a whole other concept. Part of the toxicity of the idea of twin flame is that you can never be whole in yourself. And I think that is a terrible, terrible teaching. Now, Plato lived well over 2,000 years ago. It's not to be surprised that our understandings may be different or perhaps in our terms better than his would have been. So I'm not criticizing Plato, I'm criticizing the idea. And my attitude toward Plato and toward other great philosophers is that I take the good from their philosophy, but I realize because of the eras they lived in, there's going to be bad as well, because all of these cultures were different from our own and had different ideas about certain specific things, usually the role of women and the role of slavery, because almost all of the great historical philosophers lived in societies that were relatively misogynistic and that practiced slavery, neither of which we would approve of today. But that doesn't mean that nothing they said was good. It means you have to understand they were a product of their time. So there are certain things that I simply ignore in Platonic philosophy, and this would be one of them. I think that most people might be surprised to realize that Plato's writings are deeply metaphysical. Plato also wrote about the chakras. People often insist the chakras are a recent importation into Western culture. Nothing could be farther from the truth. Plato was writing about them all that time ago, and many other metaphysical things as well. What philosophy means in a Greek context is this. Many modern people make a differentiation between religion and spirituality. The Greeks would have expressed this as a difference between religion and philosophy. Religion was the public communal act of worship of the ancestral gods. Philosophy was your private understanding of the nature of the world and both physics and metaphysics, depending on the school of philosophy. They were largely schools focused on the nature of existence and morality. And unlike modern philosophy, they did not avoid spiritual concepts. They were very much about spirituality. So you'll find that the Platonic school of philosophy is heavily spiritual if you don't already know that. Chances are, if you're watching the vlog, you already do. So these are my thoughts on the subject of twin flame. Once again, I think it's nonsense. But if you want to talk about soulmates, there's lots of room to talk. And so I would encourage you to hit like, subscribe, or share, depending what platform you're watching this on. And I appreciate your watching the vlog. Please feel free to put questions in the comments section. I will deal with them. And I love to get questions and to answer them. It was once suggested that I would spend my afterlife as a spiritual vlog answering people's questions, which in all likelihood is true, because having done this kind of work all my life, I will probably do it as a spirit guide. But who knows what will come at that point. But I don't think I would object to that afterlife. And we can talk about afterlife and reincarnation in another vlog. So thank you for joining me, and until next time, may you blessed be.